Hello fellow Helldivers, Thornton here, and a lot of players are right now disgruntled with the nerfs, and it does look like Arrowhead is going to walk them back as the CEO has said that they are going to be making adjustments, but along with that, it looks like they're going to be adding something new into the game that is going to hopefully make it so that this issue does not occur in the near future, and it will give us a chance to test things out and give feedback to the developers directly. But without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. So if there is one thing that fans of Helldivers 2 and the developers of Arrowhead are learning very quickly, it's that if something is really bad in the game, a review bomb actually seems to work. As with the new Escalation to Freedom update, it appears that more fans are bombarding the Steam charts with negative reviews due to the fact that there were a ton of people upset about the nerfs. Now, that's not exactly wrong. There are some questionable changes that they made, such as the new warbond, having the new weapons all being nerfed because they're fire-based doesn't really seem like a good call, at least not to the general player base. And the CEO, Shams, did actually say that they have heard the feedback loud and clear. He did thank everyone for caring so much and being so constructive, and that they'll be listening and that there will be improvements and tweaks coming, which is a good sign that eventually these nerfs are probably going to be overturned and fixed. Not only that, but Baskinator did say that they also heard the feedback about the changes to fire and how it affected flamethrowers, and they actually introduced a new player poll about the Escalation of Freedom so that people could weigh in on the Discord if you guys want to, which is probably a pretty productive way. They don't want to exactly get review bombed, as last time that happened, well, it hurt the player count quite a bit. The player count does seem to be shooting back up after the newest update, I will say that. But, review bombs do hurt the game when stuff like this happens. I will say, I think the PlayStation Network fiasco was a little bit more reasonable to review bomb because people were unhappy about having their purchase be locked behind a networking thing. Whereas this is some nerfs, and having a community poll where we can get feedback is probably the appropriate way to go. That being said, I do want to eventually see the review bomb cape. We've all been waiting for it, and I've seen it being posted a ton on Discord, Reddit posts asking when are we finally going to get this to come. Now, that being said, the nerfs are seriously a big issue in this game, at least for a lot of players, and there are a lot more things that Arrowhead could be doing to actually alleviate this issue. And one big one that they've actually talked about, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, is the fact that Shams says on their wish list they are looking at adding in a playtest environment for a final round of feedback before they release this. A couple of other games have done this in the past. There's a huge benefit to it. Players can go ahead and actually test something out before it gets launched, give their feedback, and then they avoid the backlash of buffs and nerfs because the community has already gotten a chance to say yay or nay to them. That would be the optimal way about doing this, and I hope that the playtest servers actually come in the very near future. That being said, I think with a game like Helldivers 2, and you might be at this point being like, well, you're just a YouTuber, you don't know anything. I can still give my opinion. There are a couple of different ways to actually fix the nerf issue because they don't really need to nerf anything. One is the most obvious, and this was posted on Reddit, just balance the enemies a little bit differently, not the player's ability to have fun. Every enemy faction in Helldivers 2, as you can see here with the Terminates, has a very unique playstyle, and tweaking that a little bit instead of the way that the guns work would probably be a better way to go ahead and solve this issue. Not to mention, because they're adding higher difficulties, you can go ahead and actually change that to make the flamethrowers less useful at, say, level 10 difficulty, rather than going ahead and nerfing it for level 5 or 4 difficulty, which just doesn't make as much sense. My personal favorite would like to see, instead of going ahead and nerfing weapons, making other weapons more viable to compete with the ones that are being used. The whole reasoning on the flamethrower nerf, according to Shams, was that the breaker was like 30% of all Terminate sessions at some point. Very much a meta gun. Is that a problem? Yes. Is it a big one? I don't know. We'll discuss it. And while he is right that it is way overused, the simple solution to that would be to make more weapons viable against the flamethrower so it's not the only weapon being picked, or introducing new weapons to compete, such as the chem gun, making that a very cool new thing that we haven't seen before so that we can go ahead and try that out and the flamethrower gets a little bit less hype. That's a very simple way that would still make people very happy, and the flamethrower, for those that truly do enjoy it, can still go ahead and play around with it. We do know that they are working on a ton of fun stuff. Apparently, there's going to be expandable bayonets in the near future. And if you made this really fun with a buff to go ahead and compete with some of the better weapons, now you've added more diversity already. By nerfing things though, now people are going to be worried that by the time the Bayonetta comes in, if it's powerful, it's just going to get a nerf, so why even play it that much? Not to mention, we know of other new things coming. The full Illuminate roster so far has been leaked. There's things like the Observer, the Ghoul, the Adept, the Outcast, the Summoner, the Tripod, the Tripod Mark II for those Iron Man fans, the Council Member, the Guy, the Obelisk, and you can go ahead and read all all these things that were put up on Reddit. And once again, when you go ahead and nerf all these different weapons, no one's going to be having anything to viably fight against the Illuminate with. And if you do go ahead and continue to nerf things, it's just going to make the experience less and less fun for more players. Overall, I hope they take a bunch of this into consideration, especially the polls, the player test server, and making weapons more fun, because if they keep getting a review bombed like this, it might be almost near impossible for the game to recover player base as the community gets more and more annoyed. Not to mention there's also this weird buying bug, just want to let you guys know. Apparently, even if you unlock everything, you still have to spend 15 more medals to unlock. It's kind of a weird bug and glitch. Just be aware of that. But overall, that is what I wanted to talk about today. Let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on a public test server where we can test things out to make sure that they are working properly in game before actual nerfs come in? Also, how are you enjoying the new Escalation of Freedom update? Also, if you guys want, go ahead and check out these videos right here where I cover more news and information on Helldivers 2. And until next time, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading democracy.